Awesome.
Hey,
Hey,
how's
Tayliyah.
everything?
Everything's great. How about you?
Great. I just I haven't seen you since the trip.
Dude, I know it's been so long.
I was just really reflecting on our trip and stuff. Rowan really has never offered the Southeast Asia program. And honestly, us going on it was really amazing. What was your favorite memories on it?
Yeah, before we get into that, let's just like introduce ourselves for people that are listening.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so guys, my name is Tanish. I went to Rowan for undergrad. I majored in biomedical engineering and I graduated in 2025, so this year. And recently I started my first year at the Rowan Virtual School of Osteopathic Medicine. So that's a little bit about me. And then Talia, if you want to introduce yourself, go ahead.
hi, my name's Tayliyah Truong. I graduated Rowan in 2024 with a majoring in international studies, concentrating in international business and economics. And now I'm pursuing my graduates. I'm pursuing my master's, in a emergency and threat management, still at Rowan, and I'm expecting to graduate in the spring of 2026. Um, and that's a little bit about me.
As you guys can tell, you guys can tell we both like love Rowan. We both have been here for like a few years and are also continuing our graduate degrees here. So it's a great school and especially like this opportunity we got because of going to Rowan. So we definitely appreciate that. So I'm gonna start with talking about like why like we even wanted to go to this program. So Talia, if you want to take it off and talk about that a little bit, that'd be great.
Sure. So the Southeast Asia program wasn't something that was very common within the study abroad. I've been looking at doing study abroad throughout my entire time at Rowan, and nothing really out my interest. I wasn't really interested in going into Europe, going to South America, and I really wanted something completely out of the box. I am Southeastern. I'm like Southeast Asian myself, and seeing a program that kind of almost identifies within my own self, it was something I really wanted to do. And so when the program was offered, I was very excited.
Yeah.
What about you, Tanish?
Yeah, I mean, almost like a very similar story as you. Like, I knew that I wanted to pursue a study abroad program in like some sort of like degree, right? I I went to undergrad for only 3 years, and when I first went to undergrad, like being having like a BME degree, my advisor like told me that it's very hard to like do a study abroad program with your degree. Like it's gonna be very difficult. And at that time, it kind of like turned me down a little bit. But then all of a sudden I get an email in my inbox and it's like, oh hey, you can go on this study abroad program. And yeah, and you can still do it like you can do it right after you graduate. And I'm like, this is almost like a dream come true because I did not expect an opportunity like this to come my way. So when I first saw it, I was like, okay, these countries like I think I never even had heard of like Saigon, which is like the capital of Vietnam, and like just hearing some of these places, I was like, okay, this is really a really cool opportunity, and these are countries that I would actually like never visit because I just don't know about them. But the fact that I have the opportunity to visit them, and I'm not gonna have the opportunity in the future probably to visit them, I was like, okay, like I might as well take advantage of this opportunity. That's really why I was like, it was kind of out of my comfort zone, but I was like, honestly, sometimes you just gotta do things out of your comfort zone to grow. And for me, this was like the perfect opportunity. And honestly, like a really good way to de just decompress after after graduating.
Like while we were even on this trip, I was a lot nervous just because one going to Vietnam, Thailand, and Cambodia, it was completely different what's happening in the US. We're on the whole other side of the world. I'm with when you're going on the study abroad, you don't know who you're going with. Like it's honestly kind of random and whoever's it's obviously like when you go into to a class, you don't know who's going to be in there. It's the same with the study abroad. And you have to trust these people to go on this plane with them and experience this everything. And you're like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? And going on this trip and meeting all my classmates on this trip has been very eye-opening. And honestly, it was one of the best experiences I ever had. It was definitely life-changing. Um, I experienced so much emotions, um, and like also learning new things with them and them experiencing new things from my own culture. And I really appreciated it. Like it's I would never knew that like Tanish and I actually bumped into each other all the time on campus. It took literally this trip to actually like, yo, I know you, but where?
Yeah, and like we both are part of Greek life. So actually a really cool fact that in the study of our program, at least our cohort, a third of our cohort was Greek life, which is like so cool. Like I didn't know that when I first signed up for this program, I didn't know that a third of my cohort is gonna be Greek life. And that was like when I first walked in to our first like information session, I was like, wow, like this is a like I'm so glad I did this because like I have people who have similar interests as me and people who want to experience this like almost like people don't even talk about these countries that much. So like experience this world with me. So it was just like a overall like good good choice, like good decision for me. Um but yeah, going back to what you were saying about like what was I like most nervous about going into this trip? I would say like so I'm vegetarian and like going on this trip, I was very nervous because a lot of these countries they're very like they're just very like like dependent on like seafood, meat, things like that. So someone who's vegetarian, I wanted to like really see like how I would be able to survive. Not survive, but like be able to, just like have food to eat. And something great about this program is that they really take your dietary restrictions very seriously. Like they would make sure that every meal that you get, and a lot of meals are covered in this program. So every meal that you get, you're gonna be, they're gonna obey like any restrictions you tell them. So that's something that I was initially nervous about, but I got over that when I was actually in those countries.
Also, just to get into it, like the actual part of these trips, like
Mhm.
we landed into Vietnam first, and experiencing Vietnam was very like awesome because like Vietnam, like he was talking about Saigon, but the official name is it's Ho Chi Minh City. And Ho Chi Minh City in general is very busy, very hectic. It's a very lively city. And like there's so much to do in so little time. And we got to experience a lot of things in those little time. And um it's great to know your classmates and doing this and like experiencing new foods, new language. It was like very eye-opening. Like these are also countries that you would never expect, if that makes sense. Like these are like countries that you have heard its name, but you never knew its culture, food, like everything, its people. And so landing into these countries with
Yeah.
um, people who don't like you, people who don't look like you, eat like you, it was just like awesome. I'm not gonna lie to
Yeah.
you. Vietnam is a very I
Yeah.
like it's an urban city. And then after Vietnam, we went to Cambodia, which is the completely opposite of Vietnam.
Mhm.
Everything that we experienced those last couple days in Vietnam, Cambodia was the complete opposite. Siem Reap, it's like it's not its capital of Cambodia, it's more of its temple regions. So we got to experience like if you could imagine Temple Run, that's exactly what the temples look like. It's like a ruined temple, but it's one of the largest, like honestly, wonders of the world. I loved it. It was beautiful. Um,
Yeah. It was
and
the Angkor Wat, I think.
yeah, Angkor Wat.
Yeah, that was like I think I've seen like TikToks and like oh, this is like a real life temple run. Like
Yeah, it's real life Temple Run,
yeah.
and it's like I have to say, it's like what you think when like you have to understand is what has happened in Cambodia and its history to see its people. And I have to say Cambodia was what caught my heart. Learning its history, its people, its language, its food, and how everything is not never taken for granted. Um, and that's something I really encourage anyone who's even considering this program. please do your research on all these these countries you're going to visit because you're going to be wow, like it is completely different what you've read on paper, if that makes sense, until you
Yeah.
feel its actual emotions in these countries. Um, and then going back into like we went after Cambodia, we went to Thailand. And Thailand, it's kind of combined of the two. It's both urban and it has like more like the village part of Southeast Asia. And you can understand it's all its history of Southeast Asia too, and what Thailand is. And once again, it's sometimes is like it's like the people who you travel with, your classmates, and stuff like that. So I very encourage to like I really lucked out with my cohort when I say that we didn't get to really know each other prior, but we got to know each other very closely on this trip. So I would really encourage you guys to try to know each other prior to this trip. If
Mhm.
not, it's okay and take the risk of it because when you're on this trip, you're gonna have the most eye-opening experience.
Yeah, and like just like kind of picking back from that, I want to talk about like a specific story. Like when Talia said that, like we really got to experience like you really don't learn stuff in the books about like things place like Cambodia. Like if you guys know about the history of Cambodia, like there's been like a lot of like civil wars and things like that in Cambodia. And when like I signed up for this trip, I had no idea that I would be literally meeting people who are like actively working to like literally disarm landmines. Like there's so when we were there, we went to this museum. It was the Landmine Museum, and we met someone named Akira, who is literally like he's a celebrity in the US. Like he's been at a lot of like he's been on CNN, a bunch of these like news outlets because of the work he does. This guy, he goes in the jungle and disarms landmines with pocket knife and a sharp stick. This guy's he's very like skilled. And when I went to this museum, I got to meet him. I got to have a conversation with him, and just what I felt in that moment, like of what he was telling us, was so impactful. And to this day, like I live by those values. I remember one thing he said was that I asked him, hey, like when are you gonna stop like doing what you do? When are you gonna stop disarming these landmines? And he literally said to me without hesitation, he was like until every single landmine is gone. Like until he removes every single landmine from Cambodia, he's not gonna stop. And to me, like that was a very simple lesson, but it gives you like perspective, right? We live in such privileged neighborhoods, we live in such privileged communities. We have access to healthcare, um, schooling, like literally anything you want. And going to these places where you can literally step on a landmine and your entire existence is gone. Just experiencing that and like listening stories about these things, it just makes you feel like what you have like you're really grateful for what you have, as Leo was saying, and that your struggle, yes, things get really hard for us. We struggle with a lot of things in life, but it's really not comparable to what they're going through, you know and this makes you like give back, makes you want to like support your friends, your family, and just keep that in perspective when you're going by your day-to-day life.
I
So that
really want
was
to add up on this point
yeah.
that this entire story is like when I say encourage you to do your research when you're going on the Southeast Asian trip, because each country affects each other. Like when we're in Vietnam, they don't call it the Vietnam War, how we like learn in our own history. They call it the American War. And honestly, what happened in Vietnam kind of honestly caused a domino effect with the rest of the Southeast Asia countries that you're gonna go to. Like kind of trickled into Cambodia. And that's how he was talking about the landmines and stuff like that. The reason the reason why this trip was super important to me on a personal level is because my family who is from Vietnam and also in Laos, the country a neighboring country, is that when the Vietnam War happened, learning them fleeing from this to the US, I've heard stories from my own family, my like my neighbors, like who I grew up with, and to see this in physically in real life and realizing my own privileges. Like I've heard stories of like, oh yeah, I used to ride my bike almost like 10 or 12 miles. When I was in Cambodia and we went to a neighbor, the nearby village, and we were just eating with a family who was just cooking up their like normal meal from the rice fields. And she was just talking about how her son has to go to the high school, which is like two villages next door, by bike. Or if not, like they just got recently this, like they used to wake up early just to walk this, like long haul to go to school. And that's like me just going into grad school is a blessing. And just imagine you just trying to go to high school and just trying to finish out, and you have to go to two towns over to finish high school. It was like really heartbreaking for me, and like taking these little blessings. And you don't realize how kind of bubble we are in here until you go to another place and see how everyone else lives out their lives. The little things we take for granted, if I have to be honest. Like we don't realize like how it's a blessing for us to even go on the school bus when another kid across the world is literally hiking in their old tennis shoes they had for almost like 5 years just to get to school. And like
Honestly, that was like to me, that was like one of the also biggest things, like seeing like we were in like a air conditioned bus, and we were driving through these like narrow roads in Cambodia, and we saw kids like biking. They were literally biking to school and coming back from school. And seeing that, just like it literally just made me feel so privileged. Like even though like I know the history, like I know what they went through, like it just made me feel like okay, like there's because I feel like a lot of times in the US and a lot of these modern countries, we genuinely like we live in a bubble. Like we see everyone around us, everyone's thriving, everyone's enriching, and we live in a bubble. But going to these places, you really realize that, like there's a whole different part of the world that most people don't even know about. Most people are like they're very negligent to these part of the country, part of the world, and that there's a whole different world outside of where we are. And the more you know about it, the more it helps you just put things in perspective to your own life. That like you should really be like it just makes you like an overall like good human being in my opinion. Um,
I also want to bring up at the fact that like while you're there, you think like for you ask yourself, oh, could I be able to put myself in these situations? Would I be happy? You understand? And when you're in these like Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand, they're the most happiest people ever. You don't see people around there who's like unhappy, unsold. Like they're the most joyous, helpful, and caring people ever. They literally will offer the food out their own bowl to make you feel
yeah.
comfortable.
Hmm.
And like this trip was like the most eye-opening, at least in my own experience, like I said, like personal wise. I've cried every trip in every
Yeah.
country you've been in. And like you also experience new religions in these countries. Like most of these countries, they are majority Buddhism. And if like to experience like a Buddhist country and how they live their lives is very eye-opening.
Mm.
Like in their practices and how they treat each other. It's like I can't explain it to her in better words until you go. And I hope this video helps you guys see how our experiences are and you're doing your own research into it. It's because, like, if I have to be honest, after leaving undergrad and going into our graduate life, I think that we stick with what those lessons have been on this trip, being like realizing our little privileges we have here and not taking it for granted. And
Yeah.
also being grateful, severely grateful for our everyday lives.
Yeah. And like I completely agree with Talia on that. And one of my friends who also went on a trip with us, his name is Andrew. I remember he said that like he just said that he said the less is more. And to me that kind of stuck to me because like it's true. Like a lot, like as Leah said, these people they don't have a lot. They have each other and that's about it. But they're still so grounded. They're still so like personable that we showed up to we showed up to this like rice making or noodle making thing, and they made food for us, and they fed us. and they're just so personable. Like it's you can tell it's so genuine. It's not like, it's not about like a transaction to them. To them, it's about making sure that we are fed, making sure that we're having a good time. Um, and yeah, and like that's to me like even the little things like you don't need the newest iPhone, the newest phone. What you have is what you have, and you can still be the happiest person on earth if you're just content with what you have. So, and going into some as someone who's going into a medical profession, like I have to deal with patients. I have to be able to understand what they're going through, and um to me, like going on this trip, I think it made me a more competent student doctor, if that makes sense. It made me someone who is able to understand people from diverse backgrounds, to understand their perspectives, and like really respect it. Because for like someone else could have a completely different culture, and the medical advice that you're giving to them might not actually help them. It might actually make it worse. So understanding their culture and giving them the proper medical advice, I think, is very important to be a good physician. So going on this trip, I think, just helped me get to the next step. And I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to do that, and with people that I got to do it with. A lot of these people that I went on the trip with, like I truly consider them my friends, and I'm going to try my best to stay connected to them. And I think that's the point of this trip as well.
Yeah, like for myself, I'm going into the emergency and management field, and to understand, like going on this trip when we're in Cambodia, we ended up going to a water village, like literally a village that sits on the lake, like truly a village on the lake. And they're just talking about the crisis that was happening there. And I realized that this is something I could actually put my studies to and bring solutions. And you like sometimes you like don't realize when you're studying like what you want to do in life, and it kind of just hits you like in the head, like, whoa, this is something I could actually put my studies to, like actually apply it to. And I'm like just grateful at the fact that sometimes being across the world and finally like something you could finally apply it to, like what you're finally studying matters. And I think that's what me and Tanish was trying to say. Like when you explore something outside your bubble, outside school, and finally find your purpose, this might be the trip for you. And once again, I really hope this video helps you in a type of manner to continuously go on this side of the world and explore Southeast Asia, because this program matters. And we really enjoyed it, and I hope other students will too.
Yeah. And just to finish off, like we were the first cohort to go on this trip, and we hope that like you guys are able to experience what we experienced, and if not better. And you guys can like reach out to us if you ever have any questions about this trip, or want to like just like talk about it and like get some advice. Um just to finish off, I have a fun little activity for us, which is like just describing this trip in like 3 words. I know it's hard, but like how would each one of us describe this trip in like 3 words?
Inspiring, powerful, and adventurous for sure.
I like that. I would say it was starting with something very basic. It was very fun, very very like I want to say philosophical, and very wholesome.
I'm sorry. One more point. We promise we'll let you go. But what if you're going on this trip, please explore. Like you're gonna have a designated trip of like your the things that you're gonna go with your tour guide,
Yes.
but please explore on
Yes.
your own.
Yes.
I'm really when I tell you highest top priority, make it a
Yes.
point to make sure you explore on your own while on this trip. It might feel scary, it might be frightening, but I promise you, that's when we say adventurous. Please, highly encourage. Please
Yes.
explore on your own. It's gonna be the most like the trip itself will be planned, but when you're there, you're gonna realize that the little things that you did while you're like traveling with yourself or with your classmates, it's what's gonna make the trip the best trip. The trip is only being gonna be controlled by you.
Yeah, you literally get what you put into it. So go out, adventure, explore the cities by yourself, and yeah, we hope that this gave you some advice, and yeah, reach out to us if you have any questions, but we're gonna let it be at this.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, see you guys.